We'll now have the presentation of the colors and the playing of the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please join with me in a round of applause for the United States Air Force Band and the Joint Armed Services Color Guard. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Distinguished Attorney General of the United States, the Honorable William French Smith.
Ordinarily, at ceremonies of this kind, I welcome the audience to the swearing in of an officer I refer to as new. But Francis M. Mullen, Jr. already qualifies as a veteran of sorts. He has been acting administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration since July 13, 1981. So let me instead welcome all of you here this afternoon to the oath of office ceremony for the longtime administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration, a ceremony that in my mind took place over 2 years ago. DEA has offices throughout the nation and in 42 foreign countries. It is the lead federal agency in enforcing narcotics and controlled substances, laws, and regulations. The agency's primary responsibilities include the investigation of major narcotics violators, enforcement of regulations governing the legal manufacture, distribution, and dispensing of controlled substances, management of a national narcotics intelligence system, coordination with other law enforcement authorities both at home and abroad, and training, scientific research, and information exchange in support of drug traffic prevention and control. DEA is crucial to this administration's effort to strengthen our defense against drug trafficking, now a multi-billion-dollar business. The eventual immobilization of the major drug traffickers depends significantly upon the efforts of DEA and thus of its leadership. Bud Mullen, a native of Connecticut and a graduate of Central Connecticut State College, has devoted his career to the enforcement of the law. He has served as a local police officer, special agent of the FBI, an assistant special agent in charge, and a special agent in charge. He has worked in various administrative capacities for the FBI, most recently before his appointment to DEA as the Executive Assistant Director of Investigations. In that capacity, Mr. Mullen, as one of the 3 top management officials of the FBI, supervised all of the Bureau's intelligence and criminal operations. For the past 2 years, Mr. Mullen has served with distinction as the acting administrator of DEA. Today, I am very pleased that now, finally, we can drop the word acting and refer officially to Bud as Administrator Mullen. Chief Justice of the United States, Warren Burger, is with us today to administer the oath of office. Mr. Chief Justice.
Are you prepared to take the oath of office?
Yes, I am.
If you will place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Francis M. Mullen, Jr., do solemnly swear
I, Francis M. Mullen, Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
My congratulations.
Mr. Chief Justice, Mr. Attorney General, Senator Thurmond, and other distinguished members of the Congress, Judge Webster, and ladies and gentlemen. My family and I have just come through a very difficult period, and I must say, in all frankness, that the confirmation process has not been a pleasant experience. Senator Thurmond did not realize that when his committee received my nomination, that he was taking on a full-time job. In the end, I was confirmed, and I am very appreciative of the overwhelming support that I have received from the Congress, and especially those senators who supported me throughout the entire process. And I'm so pleased to see Senator Hawkins with us today because she was one of those senators. I believe, however, there has been a very positive side to the whole matter. My family and I found that we had many, many fine friends, and that there is a wealth of support throughout the United States for the Drug Enforcement Administration and for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I must mention some individuals specifically. First, we have a very fine president. I am a professional law enforcement officer, and I have never been politically involved. Yet the President's support of me never wavered, and I am absolutely convinced of his sincerity with regard to resolving the nation's drug problem. Not that I had to be convinced in the first place. The Vice President has totally involved himself in the drug enforcement effort and has been very supportive of me. Mr. Attorney General, you have displayed an inner toughness in supporting my confirmation and during our overseas travels, a type of toughness which is essential in our government's leaders. When I was preparing my remarks, I had thought to say, Mr. Attorney General, you've displayed a type of toughness that we do not see in our government leaders nowadays, but in the light of recent events, I really couldn't make that statement. I think we have some very tough people leading our government. I think everyone will agree with me when I say, General, that you are a real stalwart. You and your superior staff, from Ed Schmaltz on down, spent many long hours in securing my confirmation, and I will be eternally grateful for that effort. Judge Webster, you have given me your full support, and on those occasions when I broached the issue of possibly withdrawing, you would not hear of it. My relationship with you is very special to me, very important to me, and I will be grateful to you always also. I believe that the entire process was harder on my wife, Nancy, than it was on me. We have gone through some very difficult times together, and I know that I would not be standing here today without her. I will never forget the calls from my daughter, Pam, when she would call to say, I just called to tell you that I love you. My son Bill was serving with the U.S. Army in Germany throughout most of the confirmation process, and all things considered, that was probably not a bad place to be at the time. I do know, however, that he cared and was concerned. Then there is my daughter Jennifer, and for those of you who haven't met her, she's in row 1, seat 1. During the period when I was under personal attack, a national publication printed a particularly vicious article, which I might add was also untrue, and Jennifer wrote a letter to that publication taking issue with what they had written and said in the letter she was canceling her subscription. I reminded her she didn't even have one, and she said that she knew that, but that would scare them. And I guessed it worked, Jen, because here we are. In many ways, we're all stronger and closer because of what we have been through together, and I consider myself very fortunate indeed to have the friends and family that I have. The stability of DEA is now assured, and the future is very, very bright. Mr. Attorney General, in January of 1982, when you publicly announced my nomination, I said that we will do the job that you want done. You have now given us the resources to do that job. We have already made substantial progress, and on behalf of the dedicated men and women of the Drug Enforcement Administration, I today renew that pledge to you. I assure you and everyone else who helped make this day possible that your confidence in me has not been misplaced. I thank all of you for being here on this very special day. Thank you.
This year, the Drug Enforcement Administration marks its 10th anniversary. The occasion offers an opportunity for us to appreciate more fully the significant law enforcement role of the agency at a time when more and more crime is drug-related. After Prohibition, organized crime sought to find other sources of income to make up for the millions of dollars formerly gained through the illicit trade in liquor. These included gambling, loan sharking, prostitution, and for the first time on a large scale, narcotics. When organized crime is mentioned, a traditional syndicate such as La Cosa Nostra, a confederation of 25 families, immediately springs to mind. Today, however, dangerous traditional syndicates like the LCN have competition. In the past 2 decades, new organized criminal enterprises have emerged, all in primary pursuit of the drug business that had previously been monopolized by the conventional syndicates. These new enterprises include outlaw motorcycle gangs, prison gangs, and still others, such as the Cocaine Cowboys, who operate out of Colombia. As organized crime has evolved in this country, it has meanwhile reached out and made common cause with equivalent crime networks abroad in order to produce and distribute illegal drugs. Thus, the drug business is today a domestic enterprise that has significant organized connections overseas. This illegal business is, of course, extremely lucrative, with profits annually running into the tens of billions. These profits are used to finance many other illegal activities, including gambling, pornography, prostitution, extortion, loan sharking, fraud, weapons trafficking, and the corruption of public officials. These are not the only crimes related to drug trafficking. A study by the Bureau of Justice Statistics shows that at the time of their offenses, 1/3 of all prisoners incarcerated in 1979 were under the influence of drugs. Many who commit predatory street crimes take drugs on a regular basis. And then there is the matter of what drugs do to the individuals who use them. Some years ago, it was fashionable to distinguish between drug use and drug abuse. Now we know that such a distinction bears little relationship to the world of experience. Drug use results all too frequently in body and particularly mind abuse. The lives of too many of our young people have been impoverished by drug use. Those actors, athletes, politicians, and other high-profile figures of our time who roll from high to high are communicating a message of devastating impact to our youth, our most valuable resource. By encouraging demand, they are aiding the drug cartels. Every law-abiding citizen should be glad that there exists a federal agency with principal authority for enforcing the drug laws. Those of us involved in law enforcement are glad that there is a Drug Enforcement Administration, and we are immensely proud of its accomplishments. DEA averages about 1,000 arrests per month and about half as many convictions per month. The agency is dramatically increasing its seizures of illegal drugs. DEA doubled its seizures of heroin from 1981 to 1982, and for the first half of 1983, the amount seized is already 80% of that in 1982. The story is almost the same in regard to cocaine. As a supplement to the ongoing federal drug enforcement effort, the FBI was given concurrent jurisdiction with DEA over drug offenses in January 1982. The teamwork already is paying huge dividends and promises to pay more. The number of joint DEA-FBI cases jumped from a total of 12 in 1981 to 600 at the end of October. The number of Title III wiretaps increased during the same period by 178%. The information and intelligence bases of the two agencies have been expanded and forensic laboratory support increased. DEA and FBI have cross-trained their agents in order to enhance their already improved effectiveness in the field. As the lead agency for drug enforcement, DEA has played a crucial role in other areas of this administration's unprecedented effort to handcuff organized crime and slow the flow of illegal drugs between and across our borders. DEA has joined with the FBI, Customs, ATF, IRS, and other federal agencies to make the South Florida Task Force a recognized success. That task force, instituted last year, is the model for the organized crime drug enforcement task forces that now blanket the nation. These 12 task forces, each assigned to a geographical region, are directing their efforts against the uppermost levels of the drug cartels. Although they only recently have become fully staffed, they already are scoring notable achievements. The task forces have secured 145 indictments involving more than 800 defendants and have more than 400 investigations underway. DEA has been involved in substantially more than half of all of the cases to date, devoting some 250,000 hours to the work of the task forces. I know that some have said that recent increases in the availability of drugs means that we are failing, and that in any event, the fight is hopeless. There are 2 points that should be made. One is that there is no question that this administration has vastly improved the drug enforcement and interdiction efforts of the federal government, and we have the DEA to thank for much of that improvement. Second, the increased supply of drugs, despite our greater seizure of drugs, is due to the fact that criminals today are trying to bring substantially greater amounts of drugs into the country than ever before. The current situation underscores how necessary it was for this administration to take new steps to combat the drug problem, both at home, where we have increased the funding and heightened the efficiency of our law enforcement efforts, and abroad, where we have systematically sought to enlist the cooperation of foreign source and transit countries. With so great a problem, we have had to institutionalize our efforts against it, just as we have done against organized crime with our strike forces. And we have had to work to reduce not only the supply of drugs, but also, to the extent that we can, the demand. In this regard, DEA and the FBI are providing advice on illegal drugs and drug trafficking to the professional football, baseball, and basketball leagues. Others, including First Lady Nancy Reagan, are working to make children of all ages aware of the danger of drugs. We all should be heartened by a recent study indicating that drug use among high school students has declined significantly. We are making steady progress in the battle against illegal drugs. We will not give up. We cannot give up. To say we should throw down our weapons and surrender because of the increased supply of drugs is like saying police should disband when a town's crime rate goes up. The many dangers posed by illicit drugs tells us we must continue the battle. It will not be won today or tomorrow or the next day. This is a long-term engagement, and it will require the cooperative effort of federal law enforcement agencies, both among themselves and with state and local governments, and also with foreign governments. It will also require the labors of concerned citizens to alert their neighbors and neighborhoods to the tragic consequences of drug use. Today, I am proud to stand beside the administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration. Bud Mullen has served his country well throughout his career. I have every confidence that he will continue to do so and that DEA will remain a most aggressive law enforcement agency, one that continues to lead the fight against illegal drugs. Thank you very much for coming, and I particularly want to thank Senator Thurmond and Senator Hawkins for being here with us today. and other members of the legislative branch. We very much appreciate your participation. Thank you, and that concludes our ceremony.
So nice to see you.
Mr. Pano last night.
Well, I watched the program that's going on that, and that's what I want to talk to you about.
I want to put it in the